The only terrorists here are your state leaders. It's your president.
Should we have supported Serge or Maher?
They handcuffed me and started beating me. The next explosive fell just between my feet. He struck me and broke my jaw. I spent 11 days in the hospital. David attacked like a thief in the night. At all the police stations, as soon as they find a knife, they get happy.
They blew up the whole house. We almost bought no bread. Before the situation stabilized, we bought none.
Degraded Constitution. 79 criminal cases, 37 guilty verdicts, and no violations of liberties. How did the rules of the game change? The Constitution is the primary law of the country. In the 25-year history of the independent Republic of Armenia, it was changed 3 times. On December 6, 2015, Serge Sarkisian imposed on the Armenian people new constitutional changes. The falsification of the referendum results was accompanied by widespread oppression and violence. 12 journalists were obstructed in their activities, and 2 of them suffered physical violence. Out of the 597 reports on violations during the referendum addressed to law enforcement agencies, 518, 84%, led to no criminal liability. According to the official data, based on electoral frauds, the RA Prosecutor's Office initiated 79 criminal cases, of which 30 cases were dismissed, 2 criminal proceedings were discontinued, and from the other 37 criminal cases, guilty verdicts were issued against 39 people. In almost all the cases, a penalty of $500,000 to $1.5 million Armenian drams was imposed as punishment. In 5 cases, imprisonment was imposed as punishment. But in all the 5 cases, the sentence was not enforced. Shant and the new political prisoners. Gevorg Safarian and Girar Sefirian behind the bars. The acts of violence of 2016 started on the night of January 1st, 2016. Guys, it won't do. You've no right. The police illegally prevented the event held by Nordhayastan, New Armenia, member Gevorg Safarian and his friends. The police used violence and without any legal grounds apprehended them and took them to the police station. Well, you'll hurt. Gevorg Safarian is still in custody. His detention was seen as a preventative measure. He is charged with using violence against police captain Geram Hachatarian, commander of the police 4th Special Battalion.
You are mocking the state and the citizens. You aren't judge. Gevorg, a pussycat in men's clothes.
Mind your language. The ill-founded criminal case against Gevorg Safarian is investigated by the Kentron and Nork-Marash General Jurisdiction Court of First Instance, presided over by the judge on political affairs Menetsakan Martirosyan. Sentenced to 2 years and 6 months. It's no use to even say that I didn't hit anybody, and that actually it is Geram Hachatarian who should be here, as it was him who hit both me and other civilians. I think it's no use saying this. During the trial examination, it all became clear. The videos showed it. The public was involved and saw everything. And after all this, it's no use saying that I or the other civilians hit anyone or took any violent actions. Sentenced to 2 years imprisonment, the court hearing is declared closed. I can say definitely that this is another political order, and the fact that Gevorg Safarian is a political prisoner is confirmed by this judgment.
Նյատոտ մոտեղ կպցնենք, որտեղ ասենք մոտոլեստար կպցրեցինք նորից։
Vargas Gaspari, who held almost 70 protests in front of Serge Sarkisyan's mansion, was detained on February 19th. He was charged with insulting a police officer, interfering with court hearings, and addressing indecent remarks to the judge. Sergic, murderer. Sergic, villain. Gaspari was detained and taken to Nubarashen penitentiary facilities. Criminal proceedings were initiated and discontinued for one important pretext. Thus, I complained that I was subject to torture by the Nubarashen prison watchdog, a certain Davo from Kevorkian, and the prosecutor's office replied that it talked to the prison watchdog, a certain Davo from Kirovakan, and the prosecutor's office replied that it talked to that prison watchdog, Davo, and he said the opposite, and the prosecutor's office took the prison watchdog's words as a basis for discontinuing that case. The investigator illegally assigned a forensic psychiatric examination of Vargas Gaspari. He was taken to Nork Psychiatric Center only because he asked the investigator whether he had anything to do with the investigation into the March 1st case. There I suffered torture, and I can still feel its consequences. It was only thanks to the pressure of the lawyers, the mass media, and the public that Vargas Gaspari was released on February 26th. They turned me into prison dust. On March 24th, the Armenian Women's Front members blocked Mashtots Avenue, demanding the release of political prisoners, and particularly Gevorg Safarian. Protest participant Ruzana Yenokyan was injured from a kick by a police officer. She was declared a victim, but due to insufficient evidence, the proceedings were discontinued.
During the protest, I was injured and declared victim under the case, but the proceedings were discontinued for lack of corpus delicti.
We have relevant authorization. The police officers who arrived at the scene of the traffic accident at the start of the Tsiternakaberd highway in Yerevan City found 2 AK-47 assault rifles with 120 bullets. On suspicion of illegally keeping and transporting arms and ammunition, the driver and passenger of the vehicle were apprehended and taken to the police station. A vehicle has the same status as an apartment, which means that to search a vehicle, the investigator must have a warrant or a court ruling. Looking into the vehicle or seizing anything without a court ruling is an illegal action. It is noteworthy that in the official police reports, no traffic accidents were registered. Furthermore, there is not a single photo available. In this case, it's impossible to establish that there was a traffic accident or that arms and ammunition were kept by opposition force representative Girar Sefilian, and it wasn't recorded by the video cameras. In this case, the authorities pursue only one goal: to keep Girar Sefilian in custody at any cost. Ironically, we got a note from the traffic police stating on that day there was no traffic accident on Tsitsanaka-Beret Highway. Following the incident, criminal proceedings were initiated under Article 235-2 of the Republic of Armenia Criminal Code. Arrest was selected as a preventative measure against Girar Sefilian.
None of us could imagine that this case was going to have such a great resonance and would be linked with Sefilian.
The preliminary investigation had already been completed, and a few days before its completion, the volume of the charges was changed. Charges were brought under Article 235-3, i.e., those actions were committed by an organized group, but in the same decision, the investigative agency clearly noted that Nerses Pohosian refused to join the group and commit the crime. He refused of his own will, but it's very strange that a person refused to commit an action with a group and was charged in the same decision for committing it with the group. Thus, no lawyer can explain this paradox.
They came to search our house for arms and ammunition, and they found none. It was a group of 15 people, some of them wearing masks, without taking into account that there were young children at home. They came and searched, found nothing, and invited nurses to the investigative committee to provide explanation on why they found nothing in his apartment.
The investigator brought a note, and under such circumstances, the court carried on the examination. Moreover, the Court of Appeals upheld the illegal decision.
The law states clearly that a ruling on detention must be based on a motion rather than a draft scroll.
Girar Sefilian stated on many occasions that these authorities are ready for quite significant concessions to Azerbaijan. They are ready to concede territories, which is unacceptable. And in these terms, he addressed quite strong and fair criticism to the regime.
Այս կապակցությամբ բավականին խիստ եւ օբյեկտիվ քննադատություններ է արել իշխանությանը.
Protests demanding the release of Girar Sefilian were held at the General Jurisdiction Court of Kentron and Norkmarash administrative districts. Violence against Sefilian's female supporters continued. Attempted armed rebellion. Seizure of the Guard and Patrol Service Regiment, hundreds of people in custody, injured police officers and civilians, tense situation all over Armenia. Along with me, over 100 people were apprehended. They set up an ambush and succeeded in doing so. Upwards, upwards, upwards. The cleansing operation was launched. On July 17th at about 5 a.m., some media shared a statement that Sasna Tsader group seized the Guard and Patrol Service Regiment and remained in the building. You gentlemen, individuals who usurped the authority of the Armenian people at the cost of the bloodshed on March 1st and October 27th, destroy our country. You commit genocide, and the white genocide will be followed by the ordinary genocide. It's you who caused these honorable people here, who have never even hurt a fly, and who fought only for their homeland to resort to this step. This is a step for homeland too. The dirt that brought these black clouds over my nation and repressed my nation, this dirt must be removed. There's no other problem. Sasna Tserer group members put forward their demands. Serge Sarkisian, who usurped the people's power and endangers its physical security and the territory of the country, must resign together with his regime and pass the power to the government of People's Trust. In 2008, the People's Authority was usurped by arms, and now rebellion broke out against all this. Did you leave us all an alternative? And today, Vova Gasperian threatens to take the building by storm. I'd be delighted to see that storm, but I'm sorry. I also ask the parents of the police officers. They are my children. They tie my hands and feet. The rebellion is mainly promoted by the aspiration to guarantee the integrity of Artsakh and the security of the people of Artsakh. For those dirtbags, the land of 800 hectares are useless. I don't give a damn for those people. Who is that dirtbag to me to tell me to lay down my arms? Who is that miserable person? He represents nothing. We can already see what lustful and desperate life they have led there. I already witnessed the conditions created for them. If the Armenian soldier was provided with 1/10 of, the demands also covered release of political prisoners. We demand the release of all the political prisoners without exception, all the people apprehended from rallies and whose rights were violated. The armed rebellion launched by 31 members of the Sasna Tserer armed group was unexpected, both by the public and the regime. Vartan Yechia Zarian, Deputy Chief of Police, and Valery Osipian, Deputy Chief of Police of Yerevan, who came to negotiate, were kept by the Sasna Tserer group as a guarantee for medical treatment for the members with gunshot wounds. They received no medical care. Tell them to stop those things. During the seizure of the Guard Patrol Service Regiment, Colonel Arthur Vanoyan, deputy commander of the regiment, was killed, gunshot wound. On the same day, gunshot wounds were sustained by Colonel Aram Hovanesyan, Lieutenant Colonel Harach Hostechian, and senior non-commissioned officer Gagik Mikirchian. Gagik Mikirchian died on August 15th in the hospital.
He keeps on pressing my hand. Whom did you slur, man?
In the meantime, on July 17th, in the morning, scores of citizens were taken to police stations in different residential areas of Armenia. Near Ashtarak, I was caught by police officers, and the other police officers came from Gyumri. They took me to the police station again without any grounds and illegally. Then, of course, they searched me and my vehicle and let me go. They apprehended me right from here, showing extremely cynical behavior. They took me just from the place where I was standing, pushed me into the police car, and dared to insult me and spit on me. At 7:25 a.m., they took two of my family members to the police station, so I went there. They grabbed my arms and threw me into the vehicle. They handcuffed me and started beating me, but when my hands were untied, they didn't dare lay a finger on me. I remained handcuffed for 6 hours. They emptied my pockets. Apparently, according to the list of active citizens drawn up by the police within the 25-year history of independent Armenia, for the first time, citizens were apprehended illegally without any legal grounds and kept for 18 to 30 hours at the internal police military units. There were masked guys in police uniform standing there. One of them, quite a strong man, grabbed me at once from this part of my body, threw me down to the ground, and started kicking me, saying, "Do you dare to swear at my commander?" I voiced my protest, calling Sergic murderer, Sergic villain. One of those police officers, of course, in plain clothes, came up right to me and put his shoe on my face to close my mouth. One of the plainclothes persons put his knee on my throat and was choking me.
At the police premises, I was screaming loudly, asking whether there was anyone there with whom I could speak of law. The police academy premises and Davitashan internal troops military unit were full of citizens illegally apprehended from various corners of the city. 12 hours later, since I fainted, I felt bad. They only took me out so that I could breathe some fresh air, and then they took me in again.
When I felt they wouldn't hit me anymore, suddenly he ran at me from afar and kicked me. Right here. It knocked the wind out of me. They poured ammonium chloride on me, smelling salts. They didn't give it to me. To breathe, they poured it in my nose. On July 17th, 135 people were in custody.
It seems we were kept there as captives. They refused to give me any document, and thus till 2:30 a.m. we were kept at the police.
For 32 hours, I was kept at the police station without any documentation, without any confirmed status.
In 12 hours, we were given only one bottle of water for 100 people.
That day, they kept me till 3 or 4 a.m. of the following day. That day, we were released at about 12:30 or 1 o'clock a.m. At the military units, they were beaten badly and deprived of any opportunity to exercise their rights.
Either the special services or the police, it is to be identified in any case. Those services tried to fix my whereabouts via my mobile and succeeded in doing so. When I asked for my phone records, it turned out that every half an hour a message was sent to the GPRS service and my whereabouts were fixed. In fact, for 2 months, those services fixed my whereabouts at my own expense.
Hey people, finally someone has done something. Show solidarity now and take to the streets. On July 18th, thousands of citizens took to the streets to protest against the massive illegal acts taken against civilians by the police. They're taking him away. They're taking him away. Catch them. I was standing a bit far from David. When I saw it, I at once rushed to David and set him free from the hands of the police. They caught me along with David. They started beating and hitting and took us to their van, swearing at us. Another 9 people were apprehended from Liberty Square and taken to the military unit 1032. In the police vehicle, David Sanasaryan suffered a severe beating, violence, and degrading treatment. They showed anarchism against me as they kicked me in the head. They punched me in the head. Probably their hands ached and they started kicking me in the head. They threw me on the ground, handcuffed me, and continued beating me. Then, as I was lying on the ground, one of those red beret police officers said, "Give them your boots to lick."
We attended the questioning at the Special Investigation Service, where Andranik was declared a victim. Andranik did suffer degrading and inhumane treatment by the police.
As I was lying on the ground, the red beret police officer next to me pushed his boot under my head, grabbed my head, and ordered me to kiss it. I could hardly turn my head away so that my lips didn't touch the boot. The unprecedented, grave violations of human rights continued until the Tserer group members lay down their arms as a result of negotiations and surrendered on July 30th. But you know they are just sitting there. People are just writing. There's no other way out.
We wrote a poster reading, "There is no other way out." I was drawing and painting that poster. As soon as I completed it and drew the last letter, we even didn't have time to open the poster. We folded it up and laid it aside as we were going to draw one more and display them together. So we folded up the poster and put it aside. My friend came up to me, leaned in and said, "They are gathering to come and take us away." He could hardly say that when they grabbed our legs and arms. Where is the poster? Bring it here, bring it.
Three days without utilities. 9 people held liable for 40 to 50 people. Saritagh district in the center of political turmoil. On July 17th to 19th, the regime deprived the district of Saritagh of electricity, gas, water, means of communication, and public transport. As a result, the district residents, who were unable to meet their basic everyday needs, found themselves in the status of victims. This situation led to discontent. On July 19th, the residents of the Saritagh district took to the street and presented their demands. "Hey, you there, why did you cut off the gas supply for all of us?"
For 3 or 4 days, we had no transport, no gas, no water, no electricity. And you don't even trouble yourself to make a statement on behalf of the municipality that we won't have any transport, so that we know what route to take.
Now imagine if a person doesn't take that road. They have to bypass some 5 kilometers, so they should have brought and distributed among the citizens those funds beforehand and told them, "Dear citizens, we deprive you of these opportunities. Here is your compensation for lack of electricity and gas supply and other reasons. Take the amount for those 5 kilometers and call a taxi." No, it's dangerous to cross the road. We don't cross it. Bro, it's not that they are terrorists and can shoot us. They aren't terrorists. The only terrorists here are your state leaders. It's your president. The police met us with arms and swearing. In self-defense, the Saritagh residents responded to the armed police with stones. Hracia Bojanyan and others and their friends are charged under Article 316.2 of the Criminal Code, prescribing 5 to 10 years imprisonment. The charges brought against all of them share the same wording. Everybody must be held liable, specifically for the acts he or she committed. No person may be held liable for any act committed by someone else. For example, there is a video in the case file showing only the actions of the protesters, whereas the whole video also fixes the police actions. There are plain-clothes people there, most likely police officers, armed with AK-70 weapons. There are police officers there who obviously took out their arms and There are police officers there who obviously took out their weapons and demonstratively raised them upwards to create an atmosphere of fear. You take out your arms to shoot, friend? You take out your arms to shoot, bro? Why did you take it out? Why did you take them out? For safety. For safety, you should fire at a citizen, right? Answer my question. The clash broke out between the protesters and citizens, but the preliminary investigation did not assess this causal link. Even the criminal proceedings did not find out the reason for those people's discontent and why those people were displeased. He or she has no money to take a taxi to go shopping. People have neither gas nor electricity. They have to take the road down to Newark to shop in the market and come back home. You just deprived the citizen of the opportunities to buy bread from a nearby shop and to take a short way to work, of electricity, of gas, of water. And as the citizen just wants to establish these circumstances, he or she becomes an accused, and what's more, faces serious charges. As there was a question on the essence of the charges, at one of the hearings, even the prosecutor expressed an idea that they would find out the charges during the investigation. Thus, it means that you didn't find out during the investigation of all those months and should find it out just now in the court of law. Those persons are kept in custody without any clear grounds. There were no journalists there. There were no mass media. Only I had a video camera. Naturally, I started shooting video as I went there just for that purpose. They took my video camera and mobile and started hitting me. That is to say, all the crowd attacked me.
They obstructed journalists' activities. Particularly, the police abused their official position and used violence against Հայկ Գրիգորյան.
Չարաշահելով իրենց պաշտոնական դիրքը բռնություն էին գործադրել Հայկ Գրիգորյանին.
From there, I went to the hospital, as I had health problems after their intervention. Their main goal was to remove the information from the video camera, as recording those moments didn't play into their hands.
Նպատակը տեսախցիկի մեջից ինֆորմացիան վերացնելն էր, որովհետև իրանց ձեռ չէր տալիս այդ պահերը։
Who are you taking video of? Take it. Did you delete it? No, I didn't, bro. We'll delete it, and then later the deleted video shots were restored. The preliminary investigation agency did not accept the restored shots as factual evidence and did not attach it to the case files.
A criminal case was initiated in the context of general criminal proceedings. Use of violence against the journalists in this regard was also investigated. More so, it wasn't too difficult to investigate it as the journalist was also injured and received medical aid, and there are documents supporting this fact.
They put a stitch. I had my side broken. Of course, then the SIS declared me a victim. On July 19th, I went to the Saritagh district since we learned about the events that took place there. We went to the place where the conflict between Saritagh residents and the police occurred to cover it. The group of the Red Beret police officers just attacked me without saying anything and started beating me. I couldn't have my mobile. They just took it away without any grounds. They haven't given back my mobile so far. 4 months have already passed, and I don't think they will ever give it back. The absurd thing is that there was no arrest as such. That is to say, they just beat me and left.
9 քաղաքացի ձերբակալվեց, իսկ 4-ը գտնվում են հետախուզման մեջ։
9 people are held liable for 40 or 50 people, those who did nothing. Those who committed any offense are backed today by the people of their field at the investigative committee. They were summoned, testified, and let go. Why? Should those 9 persons have backers to make you fear and not lay a finger on them? Should we be supporters of Serge or Meher?
Սերժական պիտի լինենք, թե մհերական։
Like a herd of sheep, they came in 14 vehicles. Some of them jumped from the roof. Some entered from the other side of the garden. Some jumped in from the fence and some from the roof. And some others passed by and entered the coop thinking that I hid all the other guys in my house. But is my house a hiding place? As he asked me to the police station with the witness of inquest, I went there. I said, "You promised to help me, didn't you?" The investigator said, "Miss, but your husband gave us no names. That's why he would go."
Police cleansing operation. Sasna Tsere group members were deprived of bread, tear gas, flashbang grenades. Tens of police officers and civilians sustained permanent scars. Do people gather around terrorists? Where do you see anything like that? I was kept at New Barashin penitentiary facilities for 65 days. A knife worth 1,000 drams, initiation of criminal cases. We'll just conduct external search, but you can't. On July 19th, Karo Yenokyan was arrested. He was charged for assisting in taking hostages in seizing buildings, structures, transportation, or means of communication.
Generally, it was my sister and me who were active. Even my father took no part, and that was the most surprising thing that gave rise to our question. If that person didn't leave the house and even took no active part in the protests, how could he have performed or assisted in performing any actions he is charged with?
Karo Yenokyan is arrested and in custody. Visits and telephone communication are banned. When the charges aren't well grounded, when the facts presented as evidence of such charges have nothing to do with them, what else can be said? Besides, what does it mean to be denied visits and information? Actually, they want to silence my voice. My freedom of speech and freedom of movement are restricted. If my freedom of speech and freedom of movement are restricted, it means I am politically persecuted or a political prisoner, as I am arrested and detained. People, please take 3 steps back. On July 20th, the protesters were informed that the police didn't settle the issue of passing food. It's 4 days since those people have been hungry. Please don't be inhumane. We'll go. Just can you tell us one thing? Will those people have anything to eat or not? Call the person who will tell us everything. Let's help those people. Let's give them bread. Step back, people. At 4 a.m., the police officers announced that the assembly was illegal and apprehended 129 civilians.
As we heard the sound of the police shields, all the people sitting next to us stood up to find out what was going on.
On that day, the police used special means, namely tear gas and flashbang grenades. As a result, the peaceful protesters found themselves in Yerevan hospitals with severe injuries. I took 1, 2, or 3 steps. The explosives fell between my feet. I felt I was going to pass out and was breathing through my nose. I felt a stitch here, which made me come around at once, and I could see my mother lying next to me, and Aida lying a bit further. I wanted to help them both stand on their feet, and we moved. I reached the guys and was unable to run anymore. The guys came up, took me by my arms, and helped me reach almost Tigran Mets Avenue.
Ոստիկանական հագուստով երիտասարդը, որ մինչև այդ ասում էր դեմքին չխփեք.
The young man in police uniform who used to say before, "Don't hit him on the face," hit and broke my jaw. I didn't realize it was the police or anyone else that hit me with a truncheon or kicked me. Arsen Tadevosyan needs surgery, but under the state-covered services, the doctors only put on a bandage. They were instructed not to do any surgery.
I've got burns on my both legs till these parts. In some areas, there are shrapnel wounds on my arm. I've been burned here.
There are scratch marks, there are scars. I haven't fully recovered from the post-surgical period yet. Still, one more surgery is to be done. The deep wounds that healed left scars. Those scars are to be healed. For over a month, he treated me. They only bandaged me, and I received no real treatment. I suffered damages of almost 1 million, then taking into account both the work and the post-surgical period. Arsen Tadevosyan is in Germany. His entire treatment process is long-term, and his surgery is expensive. It's about 10,000 euros. Then the Special Investigation Committee initiated proceedings laying the whole blame on the civilians. Those stones on the ground, on the other side of the photo.
Are there any wounded among you?
No doubt, there are many. Would you tell us how many people are wounded?
Are there many wounded people among you?
We can't say anything. They either freeze the proceedings or would likely discontinue them at some stage. Probably they will do so late. But interestingly, for instance, when the so-called 46 police officers have injuries, charges are brought against a specific person. And according to the volume of charges, that person used violence against 46 police officers. Here, the proceedings progress very fast. On July 23rd, founding parliament member Ani Navasardian was arrested on suspicion of provoking mass riots in Horonatsi Street on July 20th.
As I felt that they were going to move forward, I tried to reach the loudspeaker. I wanted to take it and tell them, "We aren't moving forward, we're marching to Tigran Med Street." Then a guy took the loudspeaker and announced, "Let every brave guy move forward." I thought maybe that was right and would yield serious results.
Ani Navasardian was kept at the detention center. She was released on July 25th. The July 26th Assembly participants held another march and at midnight returned to the blocked area in Horonatsi Street. Join in, join in. The police again stopped the assembly and apprehended 82 participants. What are you doing? What are you doing? Set me free, beasts.
We're doing our job. Are you?
We're performing operations. Please don't interfere with our work. Come and take a place here, and I advise you to mind your own business ahead of staying here. I advise you to mind your own business instead of staying here. Serge faced anything one could imagine. He joined the political struggle, thought of parties, cast buy and sell bargains, plotted intrigues, ceded the sovereignty of Armenia, and granted the wealth of Armenia to every first comer. Lathered and talked nonsense, like the cucumber grows backwards. I'll strike as many votes as I want. We saw how you struck. You can't strike a vote. A person who can strike a vote won't say, well, those were uncultivated and insignificant lands. You aren't a guy who strikes a vote, Sergic. Keep that in mind. Governments will come and go. Provocation of terrorism will remain and spread like cancer and destroy everything created by the nation. One should be horrified of it. Whom did you call terrorists? Does everybody stand for or does the nation gather around terrorists? Where have you seen anything like that? Levon Barsekyan was arrested.
Levon Barsekyan gave quite a sharp speech addressed to a certain person. He also voiced calls concerning the RA president. I think that was the reason why on the 9th of July 27, at about 3:35 a.m., Levon Barsekyan was apprehended at Shengavit police station.
The Shengavit police handed me over to the police officers who came from Gyumri Humayri police station.
And all that time, he was provided with no access to either water or food or toilet.
They searched me and took out my knife that I had on me for 10 years. I think such knives are sold for only 1,000 Armenian drams in the shops. Such knives are still sold. They got happy, as they have at the other police stations, when they find that knife, and I always joke, so put me in jail at last. I'm already sick and tired of all of this. The knife, worth 1,000 drams, underwent almost 7 expert examinations and was measured by the police several times, but it didn't get any longer all the same. If they tried to qualify it as a deadly weapon, a question would arise. If this 18.5-centimeter long knife is a deadly weapon, what are the swords and axes of this length that you sell in almost every shop? Or if one buys a folded deadly weapon of this length and takes it to their place, it will turn out that they carried such arms. In a word, they apparently realized they didn't choose good enough grounds to keep me locked up.
I collected the documents and applied to the court to immediately stop his deprivation of liberty.
It was just amazing how they might be so narrow-minded and unable to guess that it made no sense bringing charges on keeping a deadly weapon based on a folded knife sold for 1,000 drams in shops. If you're asleep, you'd better wake up. If you're awake, you'd better stand up. If you're standing, you'd better gear up. If you're geared up, you'd better mount up. And if you are mounted, you'd better ride on, and don't complain later that we were spied on. While David attacked like a thief in the night. On July 26th, Armen Mikhaelian was arrested. According to the police report, they allegedly found a zip gun on him. Some plainclothes police officers blocked my way without either introducing themselves or providing any grounds. They arrested me by force and took me to the police station. In unclear circumstances, they found that I carried a gun and I was charged under Article 235(1). Armen was charged with illegal acquisition, sale, keeping, transportation, or carrying of arms, ammunition, explosives, or explosive devices. I was kept in custody for 20 days. Then the preventative measure was replaced by bail. The judicial proceedings are in progress, but there is no evidence. They have to prove it. They have no evidence. There's only one search witness whom they have failed to find and summon for already 5 or 6 court hearings to prove where and in what circumstances they found that weapon on me.
I taught those like you for 25 years. Today, I get a pension making 10% of your salary. Are you whistling?
Now we're walking away quietly.
I don't give a damn. If you want, I can give you my pension as well.
Every civilian stepping on Horonatsi Street on July 27th was apprehended by the police.
I'm not going to walk with you. I've just had plaster cast taken off my arm, you donkey. Oh my God, my heart's failing me.
On that day, the number of illegally apprehended people reached 151. Among the people who found themselves at the police station military unit was director and actress Arsine Hanjan. You shouldn't apprehend Arsine Hanjan. Are you a journalist?
No, I'm not a journalist. I'm an actress and a film producer making films. I'm diaspora Armenian.
She's Atom Egoyan's wife. Let them pass this side.
Հերացայինի վրա Աթոմ Էգոյանը հերացային անձերը, որովհետև նոր թիվ վերցուցածեի, ուրեմն մեկ կողմեն ցերկս գար կամերաս, մյուս կողմեն հերացայինս Աթոմին հետ կխոսեի, եւ որ ուրեմն ոստիգանը այդ բան անդադարձա, որ ես լրակրող չեմ, սա հարցուց ինչու հոսես, ցույցի պիտի մասնակցեմ, հա, սա ուրեմն հետևեցեք ինձի։ Շատ զարմացա, որ այսինքն բարձրապես որովհետև լրակրող չեմ, պետք է ցերպակալվիմ, ուրեմն Աթոմինսի կցերպակալվիմ, որ ըստ երևույթին ոստիգանը բացատրեք, որ պետք է իրեն հետևիմ, ուրեմն ամեն մարդու լուրջ որովհետև չեմ գիտեր ասպայեն վերջ ինչ կրնա ալլալ։
Չեն կարողացա նաև մուտք գործել։
I also had no access. People there were deprived of the right to legal aid.
Ոստիգանավեդը, որ առաջին հերթի շատ շուտ Տիգին Խանջան
The chief of police said, first of all, we'll apologize at once. And I answered that I couldn't accept those apologies, as if you apologize to me, there are hundreds of people inside and down there to whom you should apologize, like me. They don't know the reason for their arrest.
Moreover, they kept her inside for over 3 hours. Besides, they took away her mobile.
It would be more interesting if you explained why I'm arrested today, and he answered, there was a misunderstanding. I said, well, there was a misunderstanding in my case, and what about those 100 people? Was there a misunderstanding?
Կոլցո օպերացիա ազվերինի ազդեցությամբ։
Under the brutal impact of ring operations' organized attack, shrapnel injuries terrified the Saritag district. Hundreds of civilians were in hospitals. I express my thanks to the representatives of law enforcement agencies.
What actions might show that those police officers deserved thanks?
July 29th ranked perhaps among the hardest days. 700 citizens marching to Sarita faced a blockade.
They were coming down from above and going up from below and put these panic-driven people at a deadlock. Those people didn't know where to go, what to do, where to run, as they were all strange to the roads on Saritag district.
As the first shots were heard, they shot right below my feet. Upwards, upwards, upwards. They set up an ambush and succeeded in doing so. Why then didn't they shoot as those plainclothes police officers came with their truncheons, etc.? From the downside, the road from the area near the bridge and the regiment, over 100 police came running. In Sarita, the peaceful march participants were met from the side of Khorenatsi Street by plainclothes police provocateurs who beforehand took some drugs. I tell you clearly, take the people away from here. They would have problems. Take them away and leave this place and hold your illegal rally. This whole operation was supervised by Lova Yeronosyan, commander of the Republic of Armenia police troops and deputy chief of police, and Ashot Karapetyan, chief of Yerevan police.
You've got 5 minutes time. Step back, step back.
So listen to me. Stop screaming. The police used brutal force, severely beating the civilians and using grenades and tear gas against the protest participants.
They blew up the whole house. I didn't come out as there are 6 children in the house. Are the children out too now? Now we took the children out of the house as the whole house is filled with gas. All the kids felt stressed. Come and see my kids. They frightened my kids, saying, tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'll gather and take away all of you. But why? What have I done?
My kids got frightened. Hey, you there. Do you want to fight? I'll fight. Come on, I'll fight with you too. All the kids, top down, got frightened. Go, go, go down. What do you want, men? You all rose for 80,000 Armenian drams? Come down, come down. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose at all. Come down, come down. According to the police data, more than 100 people were apprehended. The most ridiculous thing was that the police urged us, the journalists, to go to an area where shortly after they would throw explosives. I had this badge on me. I showed it and said I was a journalist. He said, "Give it here. What video are you taking?" etc. They broke my video camera in front of me, pushed me, and I fell down to the ground, and they beat me here and there. They had sticks in their hands. They were in plain clothes. There were 8 or 10 people. They knew very well that we were working there. It was quite clear, and our badges and our video cameras could be seen quite clearly, and they knew all of us quite well. My backpack saved me. I used it to protect my face and hands, and the hits targeted these parts. After a strike that was the hardest, they kicked my leg. It was my knee. Then I was absolutely discouraged.
When they threw the explosives for the very first time, we hid ourselves somewhere. Were only you injured, or was your cameraman injured too? My cameraman was also beaten. Apart from damaging the video camera, they hit him with their truncheons on the back. Did the police officer wear police uniform? Yes, they wore police uniform and hit him with their truncheons on the back. And what about the video camera? The video camera was broken into pieces.
73 civilians, various injuries, sought help at medical institutions.
We provided aid to everyone, but they didn't even let us do so. They provoked everybody to go home, hit and even pushed us away, but we didn't obey them. We came out and provided aid to everyone, all the people. We provided aid even to the police officers.
There was a young child with her back burnt. We helped her. We didn't know whom to help first, whom to reach first.
A girl with numerous injuries wasn't declared victim for too long. Interestingly enough, she gave to the investigator the shrapnel taken out of her body. My child, forward.
Two police officers came up to us, pulled us over, and threw us into the vehicle. The police officers swore at us, "Take out your mobiles, hand them over. Otherwise, we'd beat you to death, kill you, and break your mobiles." To avoid more injuries, I took out my mobile phone without thinking much that it might get lost or anything like that. I handed over my mobile. It was an iPhone 6. Taking hold of my hair, they forced me out. 5 or 6 of them started beating me. My health worsened rapidly. They kept on telling me, "A police officer stole it from you. We'll find that police officer. He'll give you financial compensation or return your mobile." And as I asked how long it may take, they said nothing. Naturally, it may take years, or maybe they aren't searching for that mobile at all. One of the miners had his eye removed from its socket, and the other one got numerous burns. "Bro, my eye is out." No, it's in its place. Don't worry." "Hey, how is it in its place, bro? I can't open it. Was it this one?" "We found it in the yard." My cousin came to see me. He doesn't know the way from the market, and he was walking up between the buildings and accidentally found himself here. Then he called me and said that his eye was damaged. He said something exploded and hurt my eye. Then they wanted to hit me with a truncheon, and my eye was out. Don't react to provocation. It's the step of the authorities. Beware. On July 29th, Armen Martirosyan, deputy chair of Heritage Party, and Hosep Hushurdian were arrested. I saw a group of police officers in the yard of the house and 1 or 2 police officers in the garden. He went in and they started catching people from the inside. First, they lined them up along the wall. Ashot Karapetyan came, looked at them and pointed to them one by one. As he saw me, he said, "Definitely." Politician Andreas Khukasyan was beaten and arrested. According to Article 217 of the Republic of Armenia Criminal Code, terrorism constitutes armed actions against citizens to create an atmosphere of fear among the public. Were there any such actions? No. That's to say, each state and political figure labeling this situation like that is a villain.
He came home in the morning and said, "Anahit, yesterday Osipian and Ashot Karapetyan called me to their office and told him that if he attended any more rallies, he would be arrested, and this time for a very long term. Let him not think he would be released soon." Some people attacked and gave him a strong beating. They mostly hit him with their truncheons on the legs. Till August 9, he didn't send the old clothes which he had on at the moment of arrest. I couldn't imagine the state of his feet. His trousers were all in blood, and I saw them taking him in such a state to trial. He didn't complain and said nothing about it.
By violence and deceit of doctors, David Sanasarian was taken away from the hospital to the police station and later arrested. I did my best to convince them that I would come myself. I said I wouldn't escape. This is my country. They said no. They had to take me right away, then. It wasn't up to them to decide. They were told to take me there, and they had to do so. And they came and dragged me by force, telling me they were taking me to the intensive care unit. But I realized that they were lying. With the help of health providers, they drove the wheeled stretcher by other ways and very quickly took me to the vehicle. Who allowed you to enter here? Who allowed you to enter the unit? You may not enter here. Lecturer Marat Yavrumian also suffered a severe beating.
A group of masked police officers entered and beat that guy so hard. They forced him into the vehicle, then pushed him out and then forced him there again and drove away, and they didn't let anyone take video, so nobody had any evidence on what happened there.
In regard to these persons, there is a prima facie investigation. Criminal proceedings are initiated, but there is nothing else. Some police officers came up to our group aggressively and without introducing themselves. They jostled and hit us and threw us all bloody into the vehicle. He asked where I lived. I said Horenatsi Street. That day I stayed at a hostel on Horenatsi Street. The word Horenatsi drew them into panic. As they heard it, they started hitting, pulling, and jostling me. They kept Melik Set in custody for some 11 hours. They gave him the status of a witness, and he even had no idea what he witnessed. They seized the personal belongings of the witness, namely his mobile, bank cards. He was kept at the police station for 11 consecutive hours. At night, he slept on the sofa, supervised by a police officer, and the reason for this isn't known either. In the morning, they let him go, saying, "Go, you got off easy." To tell the truth, after getting such hard beating, do I already have to sign any paper or no? During the medical examination, Melik Set said where he got those injuries from and answered the question that the police officers used violence. The doctors were surprised. How should I record the violence used by the police? I told them, just record the way the person who turned for the medical examination told you, as they didn't know whether to record it or not. And those marks that they seemed not to notice, while I say there were such marks, they weren't recorded anywhere. The chief and other staff of the police station were all trying to convince me and Melikset on one hand and his parents on the other not to file a complaint. In other words, apart from the fact that Melikset suffered illegal treatment at the hand of Yerevan police officers, he again suffered pressure in Gyumri so that he didn't complain against the police officers in Yerevan. The SIS initiated criminal proceedings and I was declared a victim. Now the investigation is in progress. The SIS investigator will call, and Melikset will go to the investigative committee to take his seized personal belongings. I said, no, you'll send a letter so that Melikset Panosyan's personal belongings are transferred from there, and we get them from here. One can't prove through an available document, so how can we prove without any document? The document must record from where he got them. The price of freedom. Search and prosecution. I was in custody from July 27th to August 8th. Detained citizens. A bail of up to 1 million drams to get out of the regime's punitive cage. Among over 100 apprehended persons, Hovannes Khazarian, Vahagan Gumashian, and a number of other people were arrested. They attributed to me violence against the police officers in Saritagh district, but I wasn't here. I was on Mashtots Avenue. I find it difficult to hit from Mashtots Avenue with stones or other items the police officers in Saritagh. They deceived me as if there was just something to be clarified. They told me this so that I didn't try to engage a lawyer. They took me to the Special Investigative Service, and there I learned that I was a suspect.
If you didn't provide us with either transport or electricity and gas supply for our own safety, on July 29th, the same people resided here. They haven't changed and they haven't left, have they? Where was your safety then? Why on earth did they do such a thing? We bought almost no bread before the situation stabilized. We bought none. We bought bread from the city center so that we didn't go out here. Mr. President, which of your jurisdictions allowed you to stand here and thank the police officers during your speech? Where were you then? Where could it be noticed that those police officers deserved any thanks?
The arrested persons are charged under several articles with assisting Sasna Serer group members, mass riots, keeping arms illegally, or just for being friends and family of the group members. The most ridiculous charges were that on July 27th, I organized an unsanctioned rally, and then during the rally, disobeyed the calls of the police. The ridiculous thing is that I spent all that day at the law enforcement agencies, and I couldn't have held any event or disobeyed any call. I was apprehended and arrested on July 27th. In the evening, I was kept 3 days in the NSS isolation ward. They called me up and introduced themselves as vernissage market resellers. They made inquiries and learned that I had sewing machines on sale. They suggested that they would buy it. Their suggestion was accepted. They made an arrangement to come to our place. At the agreed time, I came out to see them in, and I was met by some 3 or 4 vehicles and police officers. They imposed on me preliminary detention. In the meantime, they managed to find some police officers who testified against me. They gave false evidence as if I threw stones at them. They surrounded the buildings and were waiting for me to come back from Saritagh. But the most interesting thing was that I didn't reach Saritagh, as my health worsened and I was taken home. It's clear that I can't read any printed text and sign it, and therefore I needed the Braille version of those documents so that I could sign them after checking them myself.
Այդ փաստաթղթերը, որովհետեւ ես ինքս ստուգելուց հետո նաև ստորագրեմ այդ փաստաթղթերի դակ։
The police officers pressed the doorbell and wanted to come in. Naturally, my family demanded a document to let them in. Of course, they had none. Without any grounds, the judge granted, by his order, the investigator's request for detention. And from there, I was taken to Vardashen Penitentiary Facility. Mostly, it was linked right with the wiretapping. During that conversation, swear words were used in terms of both specifically the audibility and the authorities. They qualified those swear words as threats or some assistance on my part. Then, along with 3 ambulance vehicles they brought into the house, they already had a document, and thus escorted by several police vehicles, the ambulance car drove to the hospital.
Անազատության մեջ գտնվել եմ հուլիսի 27-ից մինչև օգոստոսի 8-ը։
I was forbidden to leave the hospital, and I stayed there for 11 days. I spent 65 days at New Badashen Penitentiary Facility. It's only the preventative measure that was replaced. I still face the charges for assisting Sansnatserer group. My client's family members are all summoned for questioning, and Martin Vardanyan and his brother and wife were summoned 7 times. Mother. He was detained just for talking to his father. As an alternative preventative measure, bail was applied. The bail amount was set at 1 million drams. I was charged for leading the battle in Tsarita district. It sounds like I was riding a white horse with a sword in my hand and a cannon on my shoulder. Very funny charges. And the authors were 2 police officers. The bail amount was 500,000 Armenian drams. I was released on August 16th. We gave them 1 million drams, and they were released. They had looked around in Sarita district for a long time and didn't detect me there. Meanwhile, we appealed my illegal arrest. Persecutions against civilians continued even after the group members had laid down their arms. Harut Aglamazian was beaten in his own yard. They forced me into the vehicle and took me to the investigation division for high-profile cases. They informed me that I should be questioned in terms of the case of July 21st. They questioned me until 1:40 p.m. They told me, well, you can get out by entering the yard from the backside of the building. And while walking, I saw 3 strangers, 2 of whom blocked the entrance, and the other one started talking to me. At that moment, he hit me in the back. When the neighbors came out, they had already ran away. I felt bad. I got bruises. I was injured in the head. They hit me in the head. I could hardly climb the stairs, and I called the ambulance. And a month ago, I got a paper stating that the proceedings were suspended for lack of evidence. Rima is the mother of Ararat and Araik Handoyans. In the yard of the Republic of Armenia Court of Appeals, she is waiting for the examination of the complaint on extending her son Ararat's detention. Both of her sons, who took part in the Artsakh War, have been arrested. Ararat Handoyan is a person arrested for his political views and charged under Article 225-2 of the Criminal Code, as if for taking part in mass riots. You aren't an impartial judge. You can't do anything on your own. You can only execute orders of Bagramian 26. At the moment of his apprehension, no investigating agency provided any evidence that he took part in any mass riots. But on the contrary, there are some videos showing how he called upon the public to calm down. Is the mother of Haik Areg and Sergei Kuregyan. Like Levon Barsegyan, she was summoned to the RA investigative committee and accused on suspicion of keeping lethal weapons.
Without any notice or notification, I read that I was being apprehended for having cold weapons upon me.
Later, according to the note of the investigative committee, Navard Bilyan was charged without sufficient grounds. According to the investigative committee, the case was sent to the supervising prosecutor, along with a motion to remove the identified violations. Thus, in response to the Helsinki Citizens Assembly Vanadzor's inquiry, the Special Investigation Service stated that 167 civilians, including 25 journalists, 3 lawyers, and 133 protesters, were declared victims under the incidents of July 29th to the 30th. Those peaceful protesters supporting the group were viewed by the authorities as the gravest danger. The authorities should have taken measures to neutralize the aggressive citizens and protect the other ones, instead of applying at once tear gas and special means towards them. Under the Horonatsi Street incidents of July 20th, 46 police officers were declared victims. In the Sarita incidents of July 29th, 19 police officers were injured. The tear gas affected 18 police officers and 1 protester, which sounds quite ridiculous, as the protesters can run away and the police officers were ordered to enter the gas-filled area without any gas masks. According to the official response of the Ministry of Health, 140 persons, including 82 civilians, 51 police officers, and 7 Sansatserer group members with gunshot injuries, sought aid at medical facilities. As we could see, 97 flashbang grenades and 3 shots of tear gas were applied. Moreover, they were used in violation of not only the law, but also of the health minister's decree on their safe use. If necessary, it's not the law, but rather the order that applies in Armenia. Nobody breaking the law is ever punished. That's our reality. 41 people received inpatient care and services. Most of the flashbang grenades should be thrown at a distance of less than 2.5 meters away from people, i.e., they must explode at least 2.5 meters away from the nearest person. But we witnessed that the grenades were thrown straight at people's feet. On July 30th, by the NSS ultimatum, the Sansatserer group members laid down their arms and surrendered. Things don't begin with us and don't end with us. At this stage, we fulfilled our mission. Now we're going to jail and we'll carry on fighting from there with the status of prisoners of war. We'll be with our people. Let you stand firm in your spirit, dear nation, dear citizens. Unpunished atrocity. Reprimand, severe reprimand. Dismissal and no sentence. The criminal cases initiated against civilians instantly turn into sentences, where the cases initiated against police officers get nowhere. By the Republic of Armenia Chief of Police decree, a number of police officers faced disciplinary liability. Ashot Karapetyan, Chief of Yerevan City Department, Major General of Police. Hachatur Avatisyan, Commander of Police Guard and Patrol Service Regiment, Colonel of Police. Hayrir Hayropetyan, Deputy Commander, Colonel of Police. Mekertich Antonian, Deputy Commander of Police Guard and Patrol Service Regiment, Colonel of Police. Hachatur Hovakimian, Commander of the 3rd Special Battalion of Police Guard and Patrol Service Regiment, Major of Police, for improper performance of their official duties, failure to properly organize the service, and take measures based on the situation to ensure public order and safety, as well as for failure to timely prevent acts of violence by plainclothes persons against civilians, the journalists, and incidents of damaging journalists' technical devices. Captain Nazareth Gevorgian, Commander of the 3rd Company, 2nd Public Order Battalion of Military Unit 1032, was issued a severe reprimand. Senior Lieutenant Roman Hovhannisyan, Deputy Commander of the 1st Company, 1st Public Order Battalion, was issued a severe reprimand. Captain Armin Hovhannisyan, Commander of the 1st Company, 1st Public Order Battalion, was issued a severe reprimand. Mayor Vartkes Bahosyan, Deputy Commander of the 3rd Battalion of the Republic of Regiment Military Unit 1032 of the Republic of Armenia Police Troops, Chief of Staff, was issued a reprimand. Captain Arman Minoyan, commander of the 3rd Company, 3rd Public Order Battalion of the same regiment, was issued a reprimand. Senior Lieutenant Narek Hunanyan, commander of the 1st Platoon, 3rd Company, 2nd Public Order Battalion, was issued a reprimand. Senior Lieutenant Vahan Mamyan, commander of the 3rd Platoon, 1st Company, 3rd Public Order Battalion, was issued a reprimand. Lieutenant Gor Arakelian, commander of the 3rd Platoon, 3rd Company, and 2nd Public Order Battalion, deputy commander of 2nd Company and 3rd Public Order Battalion, was issued a reprimand. Taking into account that the official investigation findings revealed incidents of the use of excessive force by a number of police officers, the powers of the police officers below were terminated by the Republic of Armenia Chief of Police Decree. Colonel Lernik Yeranosian, Deputy Head Operative Division of the RA Police Troops Headquarters. Captain of Police Armen Harutunyan, Deputy Chief Davitashen Unit of Mashtots Division, RA Police Yerevan City Department. Karen Bunitanyan, Deputy Head Criminal Intelligence Division, RA Police Yerevan City Department. Captain of Police Arthur Hakobian, Senior Police Agent for High-Profile Cases, the 2nd Unit Criminal Intelligence Division, Republic of Armenia Police Yerevan City Department. Senior Lieutenant of Police Arthur Gevorgian, Senior Police Agent for High-Profile Cases, 6th Unit, Criminal Intelligence Division, RA Police Yerevan City Department. The official investigation materials on the said persons were sent to the Republic of Armenia Special Investigation Service to resolve the issue of giving a legal assessment to their actions. At the same time, we hereby inform that for failure to control the operative situation, insufficient rapid response and preventative work and improper performance of their official duties, apart from the chiefs of Nork and Erobuni divisions of Yerevan City Police Department, the person below was dismissed. Lieutenant Colonel of Police Garun Pohosian, Deputy Head on Rapid Response Actions of Spitak Division, Lori Mars Region Department. A police officer died in unclear circumstances. Despite the above disciplinary penalties and the number of police officers dismissed from the police system, and taking into account the number of civilians who suffered violence, the scope and characteristics of the violence and illegal actions, the number of the police officers held liable is too small, and the legal assessment of their illegal actions is inadequate. To compare, note that in 2016, about 970 people were apprehended illegally and taken to police stations.